Alrighty, so this should be all working now. Looks like it. We should be live. Alrighty. Now let me just quickly post this on my Discord. Alright, ping is out. Now then. This throws up another instance of VRChat. That's great. Let's go.
Can't say that in a. I want to apologize about yesterday though, if I was being obnoxious as fuck.
Hey, where did Static go?
Thanks for waiting for the link to right?
I was saying with like Spotify and like, it has like a new lyrics feature where it just like shows the lyrics when you play the song.
Oh yeah.
Going crazy, but it's a scary feature. It shouldn't
I'll make
exist
sure
for me.
this song.
Oh, okay. Time to lower your FPS even more.
Actually, no. I have no problem stream. Oh yeah, you're right, because I have to do the stream camera.
No, if you want to do it that way, yeah. I mean, I have a camera on because there's no
Maybe
mirror, I guess, or something.
Okay. Make sure audio's on.
Oh, a Jerry ass! Holy shit! He just went in front of me and bent it over.
Loud audio. Okay. What?
I completely forgot the facial tracking meetup was on. I signed up for it and I didn't get a ping. I signed the event ping. It didn't even notify me. What is this? Discord.
Oh yeah, by the way, I'm remembering so many things now that I was supposed to say. I do really, like, when we got the avatar, like, the face tracking stuff fixed up, I do really enjoy it now. I really like it now. It's so good. Like, it was
Bro,
a good job.
I'm just out here waiting, like, scouring eBay daily for just, like, the Vive Pro to appear. Like,
I've
it's
seen
just,
a few of them for like 400 or under. They just get snatched up.
yeah, they appear for 400 under, and then you go to there for in the last hour, and then it's like £1,000 or something because people have just bid all the way up.
I found a bidding that started on 300 euros, but I was like, fuck it, I don't want this thing to slip out of my hand, so I paid 500 euros for the thing and with the controllers. Still gotta sell the controllers. I'm lazy as shit. It's good. That's a good deal. Because like if I can sell the controllers for like 200, maybe, it's gonna be a good fucking deal.
The issue currently as well is I've got to be very careful that I don't spend like money I don't have really, because you know, there's like the whole Avali plushie thing that's going on, and I'm still waiting on the invoice for like shipping and import taxes and all that. I have no idea how much it's going to be, but we're estimating around about £150, which yeah, but I don't know. So it'll be quite annoying if I have to spend money and then realize, oh wait, now I can't get this shipped.
Money.
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 Long.
Longboard. Is that like supposed to be a wyvern kind of? An extendo wyvern?
It's like just the noodle dragon combined with the Nardo. But also I have what audio is playing in this. I can't tell if it's world audio or not.
Those legs look so cursed when you stand.
Wait. Bam, there you go. Fix them. I need to make it more automatic.
I've seen so many people with eye tracking.
So how many are we here now? 23. I'm
Enough.
still in like okay frames.
I can't. I got a 30.
I say that's okay
You
because I
have
was
to
just
press the drink
hugging.
button.
Press the buttons. Disable the things if you want frames. Disable frames. I don't know what the top one does, but
Oh no, there's already too many people here.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting 30 FPS.
We were in yesterday.
I'm well below 30 FPS.
Good hint with the buttons.
Wait, that's because you have everyone shown. I just have animations on for everybody, so I can see the face and eye tracking.
In VR.
But yeah, I can understand from recording wanting to like have everything shown.
Good point. I should probably enable the animations.
I'm used to this kind of shit. Where did the other ones? Are they in the other room?
Everyone's just
Yo,
chilling.
Static, figure that out. How's the model going? I saw the preview of the live stream. You're working on the mount thing.
So I finished it this morning. I printed it. I printed the wrong version, so I'm printing the right version.
Oh, all right. Cool.
But everything lines up so far. It's just a matter of how many.
Everything is. Frame rate's not working
I
out.
don't know how the model is made right now.
No,
but
really, no.
For me at least.
Now I
for
can hear
my
stuff
mount that I
again.
have on, it's too far. It's like too far away from the ears. Like I don't want them to be closer to the.
I'm amazed how many trusted people are in here. Oh, I'm a bit amazed.
Portal. Okay, good.
Oh,
New world?
Oh, crap. Okay.
What?
Okay.
Portal?
This doesn't crash.
Shit.
Alrighty then. That went quick. And it's the 200 megabyte. Oh, a little update by the way. On my Varjo Aero. I've actually got like lens inserts now for my Varjo Aero, but I'm not using them because turns out they're a little bit lower than my prescription for some reason.
Wait, what?
Okay, I load in. This does not look like.
Who even dropped?
Okay.
Portal for this.
Benjamin
Oh,
James.
Vended? It's just the world size. I think that's the problem for people that don't have good internet.
Oh wow, the moment VRCFT just crashes.
You can double jump.
Let me just restart here.
Oh yeah, dude, I've seen your avatar so many times in the preview. I haven't actually seen it in game though. Very cool. I gotta show it for you.
Alrighty.
Fog. Very cool.
Wild audio. Where's wild audio slider?
I love to see
Frame rate.
Yeah.
like like personal made anime avatars and like or like anime avatars.
Whoa. Okay, that just happened.
This is not any better from the other world. I'm getting dog shit frame rate right now. What the fuck, dude?
It's significantly better than the last world for me.
Nice. I like that. That's nice.
He's getting shade
Yeah,
thrown at
no,
him.
it's definitely an improvement.
Well, I don't have any of the anything done yet though.
Everyone's got a good world.
Yeah.
It's time to throw
Very
it out
nice.
Oh, there we go.
Dang it,
The
I need to
highest.
start throwing on.
Epic.
I need to turn on my security down. Safety settings.
Security. Just don't forget to have animations on there.
Yeah, I have none.
I'm not putting it to none. I'm just gonna have animations on for people. I'm not risking that. My frames. I'm getting like the same frames in here right now, or worse. And it's only 20 people compared to earlier. It was like.
There we go. Alright, everyone loading in. Boom, boom. 3080 Ti fans spool up.
I feel really bad for people with shitty internet. Fuck.
Yeah. It's a lot bigger though.
Imagine having internet.
Oh, it is?
That's nice. Oh, perfect height.
Wait.
Hello?
Oh, God. This world is 280 megabytes. Oh, poor people. Poor Asmity.
Yeah.
It may be large, but at least it's better performant than the last one.
You just had to turn off the drinks! You just all you have to do is turn
Yeah,
off
I did that, but
no drinks.
on that last world I got like 20 FPS, here it's like 30.
Just turn off the drinks.
With the drinks disabled on the last one, mind ya. It's pretty amazing how Varjo thought of everything and put in like a frame count mount thing.
I can't make my avatar yet, so I'm not in VR yet.
That's good.
And where's everyone going back there? Oh, okay, I guess you don't have to touch it. Ah, that's why it's so large.
Dang.
I recognize this place.
You get lost in this world.
Before.
There's like that round maybe what, like a 30-second walk?
Oh my.
Oh jeez.
Dude, this looks fucking nice.
We do have
Well, turn off name tags.
We don't want to lose everybody. We need to keep everybody together.
This would look so cool without name
As long as you
tags.
stick in this kind of like
Everybody, make sure that you have your buddy. Who's my buddy? Who wants to be my buddy? Okay. I got
Everybody wave to the fox all the time. Everyone wave to the fox all the time.
The menu. There we go.
Yes, it's good. Everyone keep waving. Wave at the fox. Wave at the fox. Wave at the fox. Hello!
I wish I could wave.
It's gonna keep spinning. Thank you.
Falling
Oh,
animation.
it's so
No.
some way they can go back inside so there's no one left.
Someone's saying name tags. Okay.
I turned off name tags.
Oh god, that's
Scary. I bet.
Everyone turn off name tags and then we switch all in the same avatar.
I've never seen so many people with eye tracking in one world. I wonder if the frame rate issue is due to the eye tracking or just lots of people.
Outside of having met as MIDI like 1-to-1, this is the first time I've ever seen other people with their eye tracking and face tracking.
I am very tired.
I've only saw one person with eye tracking besides myself. I just came in desktop mode though because my avatar's not complete yet.
Yeah,
So-
I've got like 27. It's bad.
Might as well just jump in.
I mean, if it wasn't for as MIDI, my avatar probably
It's funny because
wouldn't even have face tracking right now.
Oh yeah, I hopped in the Discord and I saw me working on an avatar, it was pretty cool.
Partying.
I just don't understand some of the parameters for eye tracking, like half squint or something.
I mean,
I think the
I
tutorial would be nice.
I didn't necessarily need my like hand object stuff, so I just removed that, and then I had enough params available.
You look like you're getting eye tags.
I need to turn you up, chicken.
Wait, what?
There's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
By like loads of people. I turned you up. So did Asmiti work on your avatar?
I mean, Asmiti didn't work on my avatar per se. They just made the blend shapes for the Rantichi and then sent me that stuff over.
Oh, okay, you made the blend shapes and sent them over. Okay. Nice.
Oh, dude. I'm solid, dude. That's not gonna do anything. Oh my god.
So you got mouse tracking as well?
Yep.
My software is bugging out.
Nice.
Oh boy, there's a
issues
bot
with
here.
mouse tracking. My frame rate has went so bad. I think I'm using the wrong driver. I need to get the other driver.
I mean, let's be honest here. Everyone's frame rate is just bad.
Yeah. I am rendering everyone right now, and I'm getting 30 FPS.
Oh, you have it good then. I have 20.
It's really 92 particles, so it's probably better than a...
Oh, but you're in VR right now. I'm
Yes.
using eye and face
And
tracking.
and you know what amplifies it even more? There's this stupid thing with the Varjo headsets where when the frame rate goes low, the render mask just kind of lags behind. So I keep seeing black bars at the corners of my field of view.
Yeah.
Oh no! Wait, why are you seeing black bars?
Because when I move my head, the render mask still is like at a different position in the space.
Yeah. I call that reprojection frames, I think. But
Yeah, the
I know,
reprojection
render
it's on
mask.
other headsets as well, but it's even worse on Varjo for some reason. I have no idea why, but yeah.
Are you using Varjo Aero?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I heard that's got amazing clarity.
It absolutely has, but it has its downsides. Like, for example, in a filled instance like this, I'm running it not even on full native OS right now, and it still lags like crazy. Obviously, VRChat, but then...
I bet you got amazing clarity, though.
I mean, I can see you in all the 8K detail.
I mean, I would wear my higher resolution avatar, but I don't want to crash.
At... one moment. At the very high preset. So it's like... RTX 3090.
And you have less frames than I do? How? And I'm 3080.
Who's using a 3090? Are you using a 3090 chicken?
Yes, I am using a 3090.
My PC.
But what have you set yours to? Is it are you using your Aero at like default high preset?
On VRChat or what do you mean?
In Varjo base.
Oh yeah, like in that picture I sent you with the two. It's like, yeah, I know which one.
I think that's the default one.
Yeah, then that explains
What's
it.
called? The normal high, yeah.
Yeah, that explains it then, because the difference is like at high it's 27 pixels per degree, at very high it's 30 pixels per degree.
It's 30, I know, yeah.
There's a significant difference.
Still running it at 30,100 times 30 times 2,700, but it's in VR.
3608 by 3092.
Yeah, well that just explains something. But yeah, my headset is more expensive than my PC.
For me it's the other way around, because I mean, I paid less for the graphics card than I paid for the headset, but that was only because I got super lucky. Like, if I want to sell that GPU, I can sell it for way more than the headset right now.
I was just looking around, I was scouting for a 3080 Ti or 3090, and then I found a pre-built PC used, under quotation marks, with a 3080 for less than 2,000 euros, and I thought, I will take this.
Understandably so.
With my graphics card.
And the person told me while I was at his place, he mentioned to me that already 5 other people messaged him that they want to pick up the PC. And I was like, yeah. He told me if I come in the afternoon, I won't get it. So I had to tell my team lead, yeah, sorry, I need to be somewhere in the morning. I have an important place to be. So I'll only be there at 11.
You know what would be a good mod for VRChat? Like audio isolation, so you could turn one person up and turn everyone down at the same time. For instances like this, so you can just hear people better.
Or maybe they would just rework their volume curve, because as people get further away, their voices get quieter. Maybe if they just rework it so that it's a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. What would be more interesting too is that it works like it works for humans in the real life, that the person you look at, you hear the most, and that other people around you hear a little more distance. But yet the surround sound from the VRChat is not as good as, for example, Counter-Strike or whatever.
Yeah, like that is another reason. That's another thing. Like just virtual surround. And I mean in VR, virtual surround.
Yeah. Yeah, they still use Uspeak, which was discontinued about 5 years ago.
Feels like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta be careful not running in my bed here.
Of watch together stuff from Unity. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's...
I got lucky with my 3090 because someone charged me 100 extra when it first came out, and then the prices doubled. So that guy was gutted, and I was lucky.
I was super lucky. Like I wrote my own bot, not to order the graphics card the moment it was available, because I was not trusting my own code to do payments for me. So what I did instead is I wrote a bot that basically just sent me an email the moment it detected that the graphics card was available.
Email?
And
that's nice.
I don't have Telegram. Email was like the easiest thing for me to implement. And so I did that. And one day I was like at work, I got an email like saying, oh, the 3080 is available, because that's what graphics card I was actually going for. And basically I had like the page open up on every single screen that I had available on every single device, including my work PC. And basically just tried getting through the waiting queue. And at some point there was like this message, sorry, all of our 3080 stock is sold out now, but we still have 3090s available, with a link. I was like, click on that, waiting queue again, fuck. So I did that on all of the devices, and at some point I got through on one of the devices and just order.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I've got EMM in desktop mode and I can see everyone's frame rate. Oh my god. Some people are getting 10 frames a second. I feel so bad for them.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
But yeah, the reboot protection from Varjo is not that good. I think the best one is from VRCFT, yeah, with the index and so on. After that is Oculus. Oculus is worse, but the worst protection I've seen is actually from Varjo. When it hangs, then you really have the 2 overlapping images for until it fixes itself.
What I noticed is that Varjo is very, very aggressive with trying to interject the moment that SteamVR goes to the grid. And so one way you can actually kind of fix a little bit of the lagging issues with Varjo is you turn off the go to grid option in the SteamVR dashboard. I don't remember how it was called. Let me actually just quickly figure that out.
What you mean? I think I have it turned on. I think I actually have to turn it off.
Yeah, when you turn that off, it's a little bit better on Varjo, like a little more easy on the eyes. Oh yeah. In German it's beim Hängenbleiben der App zur Rasteransicht wechseln. You have to turn that off. Okay. Well, I mean, I have it. I would turn it on other headsets, but since it's like a global toggle, I leave it just off.
Yeah, but I still don't want it to be on, because when you're switching a VRChat world, then it goes to the grid for half a second and then it switches back.
It still does that, even if you turn that off. Even if you turn it off, it still does that, which is kind of crappy.
But it's less aggressive, so...
That's true, that's true.
It fixes most of the issues when it's only for a very short time on the screen.
It still has... There's still the problem, obviously, that whenever you actually click on the go button in the VRChat world load, you still get that Varjo logo for a second. Just like, there we go, there we go, no app is running, so here you go with Varjo Workspace. Oh wait, the game is running. There you go, that's a game.
It took me a day to figure out what the W stands for, what the V stands for. I was always confused with a check mark or something like that.
No, that's Varjo loading up.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to have a Varjo.
I think I got mine in the second batch which was shipped out.
I mean, the moment Varjo announced the Aero, I was a little bit hesitant at first, but at some point I was like, you know what, fuck it. I had a bad time with the Vive Pro 2. I'm too used to the high resolution of a Reverb G2, but I want to have all of that with a native Steam VR tracked headset.
Yeah,
so
the Reverb G2 is really good.
The Reverb G2 is really good, and then there's Vive Pro 2, which has the potential to be even better. Like you can tell it has a hello. It has less screen door effect than the Reverb G2, but because of some stupid software decision, the Vive Pro 2 actually renders at a way lower resolution than the Reverb G2, or something like that. Matter of the fact is, the Vive Pro 2 looks about as sharp at 150% render resolution as the Reverb G2 at 60%. Yeah, it's really bad.
I love OLED colors, but when I compare OLED to G2, the G2 looks so much nicer, and it's weird.
It's the sharpness, really.
No, G2 was better than this.
Yeah, the sharpness.
Honestly, like when it comes to black levels, OLED just can't be beaten. But like modern LCD panels.
That's why I'm getting an Apara VR, if you've ever heard of that.
I've heard of it, and I've basically written them off because of a number of like early adopter issues that you still have with micro OLED. Mostly because of the brightness. The Apara apparently feels like you're wearing sunglasses all the time. Then there's the fact that they have like a weird brownish tint, especially at the edges, but in general. And
yeah, they've got a weird brownish tint, brightness issues. The head strap doesn't stay on properly. Do you know the Steam VR tracker what attaches on top of it? It apparently falls off.
Yes.
So you have to super glue it on. I actually paid for it as well, so it's gonna get delivered. If I have that weird brownish tint, I'm gonna be so sad.
I mean, the Apara 5K, like, it sounds like an interesting headset for me, but I can't really, like, after having purchased the Varjo, I just can't...
Aero's definitely better.
Yeah, I just can't justify the cost for myself, for me personally, that is.
Yeah. How many headsets do current decks do you have?
I was a designer first, and I got tired of doing all
And how many headsets are you currently?
in my designs, and so eventually it was just like,
Let me just count real quick. Well, there's the Oculus Quest, the Index.
And how many headsets does he own?
So, Index, Quest 1, Vive Pro 1, Vive Pro 2, but I'm selling that one. Varjo Aero, Oculus Rift CV1. Am I forgetting anyone? Yeah, the Reverb G2.
I'll be right right back.
You own way too much VR stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to put my money in, that's the problem.
Same.
Oh, I see.
I'm a software developer and I'm not paying for my flat. So, yeah.
How much do we else have in common?
Way enough. Well, my flat is small, but it's enough for one person. And I enjoy it. I have enough space for everything I want to do in here. And I'm living in Vienna, in the middle of Vienna, so...
Yeah, okay.
I'm not paying anything.
Yeah, I live with my parents, so I have basically like discount rate.
Yeah, well, I have a Varjo Aero, I have an Index, I have an CV1, I have a DK2, and I have a PSVR.
These people are all rich.
And I mean, I have 5 Tundra trackers and 3 Vive 2.0 trackers.
I just have the 3 Tundra trackers and the 3 Vive trackers. Vive trackers are basically just my backup.
Yeah, for me they're mainly my backup too, but sometimes I use all 8 of them. But only sometimes.
I mean, like I did upgrade my Tundra pledge to the SW5 dongle, so that I can have these index, so that I can have my index controllers and my Vive Pro and my Vive ones also paired to that dongle, so I don't have to pair them with every headset whenever I switch.
Yeah. For me, I only have to repair the right controller, not the left one. The left one stays paired to both headsets, but the right one doesn't.
You can double $20, I think. 323.
Can I have the avatar, please?
The public one, yeah, no problem. Give me a second. Just have to do that because OSC is stupid.
How are you seeing all that car stuff over there so I can over here?
There we go, cloning should be enabled.
The feeling cloning should be enabled, as if this is an issue. Currently.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Well,
honestly,
if I actually know how to use my VRChat currently, then yeah. Where's it?
just gonna keep hurting.
There we go, now I should see her.
Nice.
I'm switching clients way too often, so I don't know how everything works again.
Oh, it's just like so much.
For example, the bigger problem is the clients all get nuked, which I use. So yeah.
I know that, dude.
Using one doesn't exist anymore, using the next client doesn't exist anymore.
Nice.
The only client I'm able to use for a longer time is the one I'm actually into developing too.
Just one little recommendation: lock the hand gestures, because otherwise you keep closing your eyes.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is fine. Oh yeah, it's still closing my eyes. Oh no.
in 4 hours? No, 3.5.
Can I clone a non-public? Or is, public but not clonable?
It's gonna be good. I guess
Private.
Okay.
Who does have a...
Ah, it's still closing
public
them.
one? Private.
I heard one of the people say,
Private.
I can't believe that we have people who
Private. Damn, who's the public one?
Oh, okay.
Oh shit, this... Ah! I need to fix it. My mod sucks.
Yeah, like the moment the OSC variant of VRCFT came out, I immediately
Oh, it's
switched.
so good.
Because honestly, I don't feel comfortable modding my game. And it was literally the only mod that I had installed.
I got banned once, but not for modding, but just because I started VRChat too often.
Oh.
I got the idiot, you played yourself, you did something strange to our API,
I mean a
for a
lot.
month.
Nah, it's not logging at all for me.
Does it not work?
I mean, it's not lagging, it's just low
Yes,
FPS,
it's still working.
but,
Oh boy.
But I do know you. I do know you. I have your avatar shown.
Really?
I've talked to you before.
oh no.
Oh.
I have very strict settings. I think that's
Well, you ran into a place where, in case you haven't noticed, basically everyone has face tracking.
Well, I have face tracking, but it's not on my avatar yet. I don't have the mod enabled right now. I need to fix it still. I have facial tracking on my avatar, but I can't use that currently because I don't have the attachment for the Varjo yet.
I mean, if you don't have the attachment, you can just do what I did: rip off the default like glue from the default clamp, and just strap on some Velcro tape on there. Like, it's not a very sturdy mount, but it works.
It doesn't really matter to me because I will be starting Tuesday. I will be in Germany, and then someone can print it for me there. And for these 2 days, I don't really care that much.
I mean, yeah.
I still need to order the cable anyway, so yeah, and I won't get the cable before I get there, so.
Alright. Guess that makes sense. Oh god. The knuckles have arrived.
We have 43 people right now, holy crap.
Look at there. The knuckles have arrived.
The best thing is, here there are 44 people in this world, and only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them are not trusted. We have 8 people with known and 2 people with normal user.
Wait, there are normal users in this instance?
With 80 people in it, I want to see my player list with 80 people because the player list is already way far down, far longer than the interface is. I want to see how this double the length. I need to put my interface up there to actually see it anymore.
You'll be able to walk a bit easier at the cost of like all your
I have this thing on my avatar which I need to fix when the new VRChat update comes out.
Oh,
that's actually work the normal way.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really fucked up currently. Check what I'm.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Really big dynamic bones so it works. I have the dynamic bone collider from up there goes out down here. So it's a workaround right now because we don't have a better way. And yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there are other ways to do that as well.
I took a look at a lot of things. I talked with about 3 people who actually know the VRChat avatar stuff, but no one could figure it out. So yeah, VRChat is not made for creating things on a string.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm gonna be jumping around. Just
alright.
How you doing? So, back to the question, how are you doing?
Doing pretty fine.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Always nice to see you.
Oh my gosh, Bubbles! Bubbles joined, holy crap.
I'm only asking because I gotta go stream.
Why is the default shading on some avatars always kind of like shiny?
Good question.
Okay, but down the goal.
Sometimes I think I'm the only person with like a database mesh avatar that has done any optimization on it whatsoever.
Yeah, we should probably get people lined up for the...
Like when I first saw this model, I was like, right now, the face tracking meetup. I saw this like on Discord, like literally just now. Like I had to get in here. Oh, nice. You should have seen what was done right now. It was like 200,000 when I heard. No, don't. I probably have to gain because I was like.
God, the Knuckles have arrived.
I'm too short, my arms are too short. We have you cornered. While you weren't noticing, we were setting you up.
Alright. We're doing a photo on this kind, in this kind of area.
I want out. How many people are here now? 44. There's 44 people in here.
I'm so happy. I'm happy. Anyways. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, I'm lagging.
Crazy. Yeah, me too. I'm getting 15 FPS right now.
If I keep my head looking in the same place, the moment I'm really...
You know, the FPS gets worse when you look at more people.
Oh, let me check.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to turn back avatar hider off. There we go. Oh, that was the problem. Oh my, I still.
Then just lower your resolution.
It doesn't help.
I don't have the tool to look at.
You mean I can't have it at 120%?
They feel kind of quiet, or I don't know if it's just me. Your voice is a bit low. It might be my volume that's set to low.
Mine? My voice?
Yeah, your voice is kind of low. It's just me.
I mean, Asmidi's voice is not the only one that I've heard today that was pretty quiet. Also, by the way, you got a really cute avatar.
Oh, you're chicken bread. I didn't even read. Okay, cool.
Hey.
That's true. Well, are you on the Varjo right now, or?
Yeah, I'm on the Varjo right now. I don't have any other headset with eye tracking.
Oh, fucking cool.
If you want to be in a group photo, follow me.
Oh, group photo? Wait.
Thanks so much.
That's gonna lag so much, yeah, exactly.
I don't think you should my god. Pirates, like a truck is hitting you, and like someone's just hugging you. But even like says it's supported.
Oh boy, rip FPS.
I agree with that.
Oh god.
Okay, I'm alive. Wait, there is that.
Yes. You want to be in it? We should go be in the photo.
Where is the photo? The staircase?
I don't know where it's Fox.
Everyone line up here.
I think I made a video.
Yeah. All up in here.
Making my shit go.
Oh my god, I'm so lost.
Too bad I got here freaking late. Oh my god. No, it just mostly just
I'm looking for group photo. Oh, here. I think Fox is taking a picture.
I did a mistake. I added a mirror so I can actually see myself, but oh gosh, no. Let's not do that.
It's gonna be a logistical nightmare trying
People can place themselves around you.
Wait, which way is it now?
I think the camera is over there.
Are we taking a picture? The camera is there. The camera's there.
I think so.
I think we gotta back up a bit.
I guess I'm gonna go take a photo.
You want to be in a photo? You need to be quiet.
I can't hear something.
No, it's good. Okay.
One's gonna face up here.
I'll move back a little bit, just in case the camera doesn't actually cover up there.
You gotta smile for like 5 minutes straight for the photo.
It's taken it. Apparently.
It's a school picture, yes.
Yeah. Then we gotta hang out more.
Whoa!
Just get back and go.
Get in position. If someone next to you is talking, smack them in the face. Everyone be quiet. Quiet. Silence.
I will go here.
Thank you. Ah, so much better.
Yeah.
Welcome to my talk. I am lining up the camera. Give me 1 second. Because we have face tracking, you're not going to be allowed to blink. You're going to have to hold your eyes open.
I'm telling you. Does anyone need any eye drops?
Wait, you can disable it?
I'm gonna.
Yeah, if you're fancy.
Right there.
I'm not fancy, I'm lazy.
Way too boolean.
Oh no, one.
Wait, now I gotta be in the photo. Be up here. I'm too small, I'll be in the front. Hey. Okay, I think I can see everybody.
Oh, I'll give you a warning. You're not posing.
Oh.
It's more of the crouch.
I'm to sleep.
It's more the crouch.
Yeah, good. I can't see you. You guys gotta move in a little bit.
I gotta still smile.
I have one.
You don't have to smile yet.
Anyone.
Smile for the camera.
I'll just make sure. Yeah, I can barely see you. You can move a little more.
I need to get a smaller avatar so I can get down to your sizes.
Okay, everyone ready? 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna do it again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, everyone say cheese.
Käsekuchen. Summoning a cheese.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
Cheese.
Alright, we gotta do silly faces.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Oh my god, we survived it.
No.
Like an engine taking off.
Now just turn around for the minimum frame rate.
Probably wasn't expecting that. You're here, thank you.
I should have. Today's achievement, survive the group photo.
Yes! And like immediately everything just returns to just madness. Just absolute chaos.
At the same time.
I bet you won't.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we're surrounded at 75.
You said you work as a developer too?
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
You said you work as a developer too?
Yep.
What kind of stuff are you mainly doing?
Web development front end.
Okay. I'm doing the watching everything full stack.
Do I have anything?
Well, I mean, I also do some backend stuff, but my focus is on front end.
Yeah.
Like, there's
I want to do before, but I mainly get into projects which need backend work.
Well, I guess
Going with Java Kotlin. But I really
whatever is
like Kotlin.
currently needed, right?
Yeah. I don't like C#. I still think C# is a horrible language, but yeah.
I actually kind of like C#. I'm more against Java, honestly.
Yeah, Java Kotlin. Have you ever tried Kotlin yet?
I have looked at Kotlin and I was like, this looks like pseudocode. I don't like it.
How does it look like pseudocode?
I don't know. I don't remember why, that's just what stuck with me.
Yeah, it looks like a mix of JavaScript and Java.
I mean...
You don't need to declare the data types text, but they still invert, and you don't have any problems with nulling.
When you think that's a good thing,
you need to invert null too.
when you think that the data type inferation is a good thing, then you haven't really ever done proper JavaScript. Because it's a pain in JavaScript.
No, it's not. You can always show the real data type. It always exists, but you don't need to declare it. It's automatically inferred, but it's still fixed.
I mean, you can do that in Java as well, with just using the var keyword if you don't use like an archaic version of Java. Java 8.
Well, I was forced to use Java 8 for a long time because I was developing for university, and all the crap was running on Tomcat. I don't want to know the version. Some Tomcat from 2015.
A lot of services a lot of services at my current company are also still in Java 8. Like, we're transitioning to Java 11, but it's something that takes months.
Yeah, it's amazing when you think of that there's still companies transitioning to Java 11, and yes, we cannot transition to Java 11 because we use an archaic CMS that doesn't support Java 11.
Wow, that's just fucking great.
Yeah, and we use some really fucked up React combined with Lodash combined with jQuery.
Whenever I hear React, I get shudders because I don't like React. Just give me Angular or Vue, and I'm happy. Like, even give me a vanilla JS application and I can work with it. But please, no fucking React.
What I don't want is jQuery. The thing is, I was working in a project, and I'm thinking, why do we need jQuery? Normal JavaScript is developed fine enough. Can we just not use it and still see merging?
jQuery can be very, very helpful if you want to have like browser compatibility or aren't familiar with ES6.
You are but well, we are using a transpiler anyway.
Okay, in that case it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So that doesn't make sense, but still people write code, and then we have to do a small project.
Whenever I write vanilla JS, I don't use a transpiler, so that's why for me I always then go to jQuery. But it's very rare when I actually develop in vanilla JS.
Same, but once we need a small Node.js application which just checks the green pass QR codes, because some company needed something special which works with their proprietary hardware. And we just had to develop it in a short time frame. And one person worked on it for 2 days, then I took it over. And I was like, why are you using jQuery? Can't you just use normal things? But it was only used for showing and hiding elements or setting text. You don't need jQuery for that.
Just give me a second real quick. Kang, hi! God, no, it's not cute. Get over it. And thanks for the sub, King. 2 months already. Damn. No, I am not cute. Also, Legend Da Vinci. Hello, welcome. Welcome to the chat. Sorry, I just had to talk to chat for a moment.
Or whatever. And it is like the most convoluted shit that goes on with that.
But yeah, I don't get it, but let's use it.
I look over and the first thing I see is a pretzel. Yeah.
Eat the pretzel life.
Eat pretzel life. Who needs AFK animations when you can just turn into pretzel?
But only pretzel with
when I wasn't AFK.
On my Vive Pro 2, the wear sensor is broken, so it always puts me immediately into the AFK position. It's in the radio menu when you go to options, config. Yeah.
If I undid, for me it's off. You make an option to open the menu.
I had it off for a while because of the Vive Pro 2, but I didn't use the Vive Pro 2 anymore, so. have it back on again.
Well, how do I decide how far away to spawn?
Okay, but I will be leaving now. I will join my boyfriend right now.
Alright, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Over here. Camera box. Yay. You too. Well, you're not leaving, but you can still leave.
No, I'm not leaving.
Yay. Wait. Human, it's not all freeze here. You can be proof.
What do I do?
has to be written down and
You're the proof it's not just furries.
I know the
Thank you.
what's being made and what actually is made are all three very different things.
Imagine using a furry avatar, but not actually being a furry.
There's always something drastically different.
That's that's coping mechanism.
I know several people who claim to do that.
So we cut down that loop by making it so that our designers and programmers are the same people. You do both. And then that way, it's like, you don't have the game of telephone where the designer specifies blank and then the programmer makes Y, right? Like, because that is a serious problem and it wastes a lot of time. The problem though is that makes like hiring like 3 times as hard because then you need your programmers to also be designers. And it's just
more well-rounded and specialized.
and then they all wound up getting hired by Facebook anyways, which sucks.
I work at a 3D scanning research engineer company, so we have like 1.5 thousandths of an inch, I think, is our
Smile, adorable.
tolerance. But we
You
do
think so?
really high precision shit. It's like I'll get a that says this customer wants this mold scanned 1,000th of an inch, and they want to hold a tolerance of this, and I'm like, okay. And then I get
So
on
what
site,
else is
and
new?
it's
Some really interesting people here.
100% not what the clerk said.
That is true.
That's not what they want.
Probably the most face-tracking avatars I've ever seen.
Fucking 3D scanner like an idiot. Like, I don't know what to do.
It's always a cool group at these meetups.
Now we gotta record them on the fly, and then I give them what they want.
I mean, with the last meetup, I was just way too... My social anxiety just took over, and I was like, nah, I'm not talking to anyone.
You do 3D scanning of parts. Is that because the original blueprints are no longer available?
Yeah, I feel that. There certainly is a lot of people.
Reverse engineering for that purpose. We do reverse engineering for general purposes. So say you're a gun company that wants to redesign a Glock slide. We'll give you a CAD model of a Glock slide if you send us one. We do inspection. So if you have a CAD model, we'll 3D scan the part you made of that, and we'll overlap them and show the deviations of it. And then we also do CT scanning, so we can X-ray shit and make 3D
What do the final meshes look like in terms of how many polygons are on them and how well decomposed they are and stuff?
Fantafox, hello, welcome. Facial tracking stuff looks cool AF, but I imagine it probably costs more than the Fullbody that already struggling to find. Well, I mean, face tracking, the Vive face tracker is 130 bucks. And as long as you can find a way to plug it into a USB on your PC, it'll just work with whatever headset you have. For the eye tracking, I don't know if there are currently like modules that are supported. There's the Vive Pro Eye, there's the Pimax eye tracking module, and then there's the Varjo headsets that also have eye tracking that also works. And in terms of price, it's in that order, exactly.
I see how it is.
Alright, so if I had somebody from the airport...
You're welcome to join me.
I'm gonna chill here for a bit.
Actually, you're a wonderful connection.
Okay.
We Edwards Air Force Base for their F-35 training, and like we want to be able to work with them to get their engines into game engine ready 3D VR models, and like they'll send us CAD models that are just. I mean, they don't send us. Yeah, exactly, and it's like they're like I need to get.
Yeah, so the Varjo headset so the Varjo eye tracking is, for example, what I'm using right now. It's a little bit more primitive. Alright. So the Varjo eye tracking is a little bit more primitive compared to the Vive Pro Eye. Like it can only track like where I look, my pupil dilation, and whether the eyes are open or closed. So I don't have like control over how close the eyes are, like what you have on the Vive Pro Eye. And the Pimax Eye Tracker, I don't really know what it can do. All I really do know is that it's kind of poo. Like, there are mods for the Pimax Eye Tracker to make it a little bit better, but it's still not great. And, yeah.
We tried talking to the manufacturer of the engines, and like they didn't even want to talk to us. They're like, they were beneath us. Yeah, it makes sense.
Wait, you maybe sell like secrets if they show you models that are very, you know.
That moment when so many people are in an instance that it actually takes minutes to load all of the nameplates.
Oh. Doesn't want to hand out their CAD model.
Oh jeez. I forgot to favorite it. Can you do it to me again?
Yeah, no problem. Give me a moment real quick.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I mean, I didn't leave yet, so...
Yeah, it's good.
There you go. Don't forget to favorite it this time.
Make sure to favorite it this. Yeah. Oh my god. They only give me... It's only 25 favorites, that's, yeah.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
I mean...
All sly.
I mean, I also have all of my 21st slots full, and the last couple of ones are just face-tracking avatars.
Yeah, I'm collecting them now.
Same. Like, once you've actually had a face-tracking avatar, like going back to one that doesn't have it, kind of feels like a downgrade.
I know, right? Oh. And these are there's so many of them now, it's crazy. Like, a few months ago there were like 2 or something, and now there's many. And look at all these people, this like...
It's a very...
I remember when it was like few people, like... I remember Discord server having like 10 people in it.
I mean, I had the Vive facial tracker since release, since launch, but it was only when I got the Varjo that I finally decided to wipe the dust off of it and finally get an avatar that does have face tracking.
Yeah. Varjo is cool, but a bit expensive for me. So.
Yeah, totally understandable. Like, even for me, it's an expense. It's like 2 months. It's like 2 monthly payments.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I'm a student, so officially I don't earn money. But practically I do, yeah.
Someone taking pictures here.
Oh no. You need to...
Super checking people can see you talking to nobody. Yeah, I know that very, very well. Same down here with changing from facial tracking headset to normal. I imagine it's very similar to transition from full body tracking to normal. Like, it's not quite the same thing, but it's very similar. Honestly, ever since the Varjo eye tracking actually started working, I don't think I've used my Vive Pro 1, despite me having it bought specifically for playing VRChat wirelessly, and now it's just laying there on a desk.
Oh yeah. Aren't you gonna sell it?
I mean,
Aren't you gonna sell it now?
I have listed my Vive Pro 2 for sale, but I think there are still other games that I can still play with the Vive Pro wirelessly. Like, one of the games that comes to my mind would be what was it, Echo? That one Oculus exclusive that is like super hyped. Like that one I've played a little bit on the CV1 to like kind of like being a purist, but I quickly noticed that I keep getting myself tangled in the cable. And so I started playing that on the wireless.
Oh my god. I see. Well, wireless should work with Pro 2 though too, but that has many issues.
The Pro 2, it just... Like I said, I've listed mine for sale.
I mean, I'm using it now.
The main reason I listed my Pro 2 for sale is because the software. Like, comparing the displays of the Vive Pro 2 with the Reverb G2, you can tell that the displays of the Vive Pro 2 are significantly better. Like, higher resolution, they are more pixel dense and everything. But because of the software, the whole image... But because of the software, the whole image looks about as soft as when you run the Reverb G2 at like 60% render resolution. It feels like I'm just wasting.
Because of the software.
I feel like I'm wasting 40% of the pixels. Just everything just looks blurry, mushy. I don't know. For me, it's just not what they promised.
So
yeah, I have
G2 before this. I sold G2 to buy this. Mainly because I know the G2 tracking just didn't work well for me. Maybe just the room or I don't know, but it just never worked well.
Ah, okay.
It didn't sync with the index trackers and with full body trackers.
It doesn't sync very nicely. You have to like recalibrate it like every session. I know.
Yeah, so what I did, I was, I know, I made modifications to like Vive Tracker, and I tried to track the headset with Vive Tracker, which worked better, but it wasn't ideal because there was some, basically the offset was not set correctly, and just it didn't feel great. And also the Vive track, it has like a 200 Hz refresh rate.
Yeah, whereas like I'm using like headsets usually have like 1,000.
Yeah. So that wasn't ideal too. So after that I decided like okay, it's just not for me. So I just bought this instead, and hopefully I will buy something different.
Yeah. Once you get spoiled by the high resolution panels, you just can't go back.
No, you can't say. G2 was actually my first headset, and I had it right after it came out.
I mean, I also...
Yeah, I mean, I did try like the Vive, like the original one, but when I tried it, I just put it on, it's like, okay, it's just too pixely.
When I got into...
I didn't have any...
When I got into VR, the only options were like the Windows Mixed Reality headsets, like the initial batch, the original Vive, and the Rift CV1. And so I started out with the Lenovo Explorer because I was like, okay, I want to try this VR stuff, but I don't want to pay too much. And so I found like the Lenovo Explorer was like on sale in my local electronics store for like $200. Purchased it. And like a month in, I noticed that it started scratching my glasses. So I started thinking about like buying a Rift CV1 or a Vive at that point. Like just a month in. And like at the end of the year, it was like September 2018 at that point, when I bought my first headset. And then at the end of December 2018, I saw that same electronics store had the Vive on sale for $100 cheaper.
Yeah.
So I purchased that, sold the Vive, sold the Lenovo. Half a year later, Valve announces the Index. I was never really truly happy with the Vive because of, you know, the same thing with the Reverb G2. Once you get spoiled by the high resolution, you just can't go back. So I was never truly happy with the Vive with the resolution. So the moment the Index gets announced, I put in... quite make it for the pre-order, so I was on the waiting list. But I did get one in the second batch from the Index. After that, there was like a long bit of silence, and yeah, it's... Then Corona happened, and then I started collecting VR headsets.
Yeah, I mean that's. I mean it's understandable. People are at home and not doing much.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I bought G2 after Corona. I mean, in Corona as well. It came out around that time, right? So.
I mean,
so like we got that one.
Like other than the tracking, I've
G2 is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tracking is
Other than the tracking, the G2 could have been like the Index killer if they just would have.
Yeah.
At least given the option to get the G2 with lighthouse tracking. Let it be like $100 more expensive and don't include controllers or lighthouses. And people would have bought it. It would have killed the Vive Pro 2 before it even got announced.
I know, right? It's crazy. I mean, because I mean okay, there was one more issue with G2. The really clear image, it was just in the center. Like
yeah,
small circle in the center.
I totally forgot about that. But
I mean, the Pro 2, like the Pro 2 is not better by any means, image-wise, but at least like the clear image is there, like on the size as well, like it extends way further.
Like with the Vive Pro 2, you can really tell that HTC knows how to build a VR headset. Like they know what are the kind of downfalls, which especially like first generation headsets went into, like chromatic aberration, comfort, etc. And that's the points where the Vive Pro 2 really shines. But then it's the lenses where they just completely messed it up, like the lenses and the software, really. The chromatic aberration, the lens pre-distortion stuff, perfect. But the fucking lenses and the fucking render resolution. Why?
Yeah, it's a... I don't know. We just can't get perfect headsets for some reason.
I mean, just wait for Valve to announce a Deckard and just completely kill everything.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wonder when that's gonna be, if that's gonna be. Well, it's probably not gonna be this year. Maybe next year. I know, like summer or something.
Yeah, it's likely gonna be next year.
I feel like it's a long wait.
Yeah. And also, I think the Deckard is gonna have a couple of issues that a lot of other headsets have faced. Like for example, Pimax was like the first headset, was like the first major consumer manufacturer to use canted lenses or canted viewpoints, where the viewpoints aren't like next to each other, but actually kind of point outward from another. And you still have games that come out today that still have issues with that canted rendering stuff. And like Valve knew that, and so they worked around it by just completely disregarding that. They made the viewpoint as if the lenses are actually like aligned with one another, and then in software they just fix it.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's
like the way that Valve did it is actually a pretty clever way, but the problem is you're wasting quite a bit of performance, because when you do that, the game is gonna render much more pixels than what is actually gonna end up on the screen.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I wonder what's gonna be with the Pimax's new headset. But it's expensive as hell, so I don't know. It's getting just ridiculous at this point when you have to spend $2,000 on a headset.
Well, I don't know. Like the Valve Deckard, from what we've heard so far, it sounds like it's gonna be like base price around 700 bucks. If you want to have like lighthouse tracking and stuff, it's obviously gonna be more expensive. But I think the base price is gonna be like around 700, 800 bucks. I think that's like the target.
No, that's
target
okay.
price that they're going for.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. I mean,
that's why I said just watch out for Valve releasing the Deckard and just killing everything else on the market right now. Like the Varjo headsets, they're great.
Probably will.
But the problem is, obviously, the small production runs and the aspheric lenses being super expensive just puts them in a price point where they're just not worth the price. Like if you really want the clarity and the resolution, obviously it can be worth to you, but like that's really beyond the point of what do you call it?
It's
I
just
forgot
not
the term.
Consumer headset still. I think
It's like really prosumer. Like you can tell based on their marketing and also the naming, it's very clearly meant for like flight simulation. And I mean there are and if you just look at flight simmers, some of them are super crazy. Like they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a cockpit that they have in their home.
Oh yeah.
For some weird reason. So it's obviously meant for those guys. Not for just trolling around in VRChat doing derp faces.
Yeah. No, they might come up with something, but I know. So the actually there is I was contemplating buying that because I could bleed some money, right? But I just end up thinking that the field of view is not enough for that money. That was my final decision.
I personally don't mind the field of view. Like, I noticed like HFOV more than VFOV, and it's really only the VFOV where the Varjo falls short a little bit. Actually, HFOV is slightly more on the Aero than what I get on my Reverb G2. I measured it with like a sync utility, like from what I see, not what the headset renders or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like when I want to spend $2,000 on the headset, it needs to have like 200 degrees. Nah, really wide.
Well, I mean, there are the Pimax headsets, but really, what you get with Pimax is exactly what they're like promoting on their websites, and everything else is kind of trash on Pimax headsets.
Yeah.
So you get like the right FOV, but then comfort is kind of trash, the balance is kind of trash, etc. I mean, there are people who like Pimax headsets, and I mean, good for them. For me, I just can't use them because the Pimax really designs their headsets for the lenses to be as close to your face as possible. And if you have to wear glasses in between, you're out of luck. Like, there's no space for glasses in there, period.
Yeah, I know that might be a problem for many people.
Yeah. And from my perspective, whenever a VR company does that, they're just dead to me. Because VR needs to be inclusive. Like, already it's a little bit...
Oh, of course. I mean, of course, yeah.
Like, most software is designed for people with two hands. People with one hand, well... It kind of sucks, honestly. Like, VR needs to be more inclusive.
Yeah, it does.
Sorry.
Yeah, but the thing with glasses
is Pimax. Does one of you has a Pimax?
I tried both the 5K Super and the 8KX, and I returned both because of no spaces for glasses, lacking comfort, too much distortions, and the 8KX wasn't even was noticeably pixelated compared to the Reverb G2. Like it's kind of somewhere in between the Index and Reverb G2. It's not that great.
Okay. Because I just got a Pimax 5 key Super with a Drool on. I can't get the eye tracking to work on VRChat. VRChat just keeps crashing. I don't know why.
I mean,
it's kind of annoying because it's expensive. So
ask in the Discord, or maybe more specifically Groxy.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it was Groxy, or no, it was Guppy.
Guppy,
not Groxy. Sorry.
Guppy. Yeah, Guppy tried to help me. We did fix it. It works for like 5 days, and then it just stopped working again. So I don't know why. Maybe there was an update or something. I'll look more into it. But yeah, thank you.
Oh.
Anyways, hope this 12K will be better.
Well, we'll see. But based on Pimax's previous track record, I think it's gonna be again overpromised and underdelivered.
Yeah.
And I bet, and I can bet with you that 2,400 price point that they announced is the base price, where you basically get just the headset and nothing else.
No, it is
you want to have lighthouse tracking? Oh, that's an upgrade. Or you want to have a better cable? Oh, that's an upgrade. Stuff like that.
They said that that's the base price. They said it in the.
Yeah,
thing.
I know.
So it will be more.
Obviously, I mean, when the headset has support for both cabled and wireless, you can expect that the wireless is an extra price. But I mean, my bet is that, oh yeah, you get the headset with an XR2 for standalone, but nothing else. You don't get controllers, you don't get a PC VR cable, you don't get anything else. Basically, that's my expectation.
Also, you'll need like the PC VR track faceplate. I don't know how much it will be, but
you mean the lighthouse tracking faceplate? But I can imagine. I can imagine that you can use it without the lighthouse tracking faceplate, but you would need to get their proprietary controllers to have like the inside-out track controllers.
I just hope the faceplate will launch at the same day as the headset, because I don't want to have to buy extra controllers just because I need ways to use my index controllers.
We'll see.
Also,
we'll see.
Don't like camera-based tracking. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too optimistic about Pimax, but I would like to try the big field of view.
I've tried it. It's really amazing. Like you just put it on and you're like in the game. As long as you don't actually put your eyes towards the outer edges of the FOV, you probably won't notice it that much. Like one thing that I did notice is that sometimes when you move your head around, it kind of feels like as if the world's kind of like bending around you.
Yeah, but I think at least it's better than black borders. And when you're pretty... Oh, I can't... Oh my god. I don't know what's going on with my tracking today, but I think I'll just disable FBT.
Personally, I prefer black borders, honestly, over like a completely distorted image.
Oh yeah?
Like on the Varjo, when the headset launched, it still had quite a bit of distortions. Like apparently it's better than the pre-production models, but it was still there, like very much there. In the last Varjo base update, they brought out like an experimental new distortion curve. You enable it, and it's basically like night and day. Like before, everything felt kind of like away at the edges, and now it's like it's just there.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would love to have the Varjo. The only big issue is like no audio on the headset. So
I don't mind. I was already using my own headset on my Vive Pro, so.
That's not an issue. Why do people think that's an issue? Better headphones. Audio is important.
Yeah, and honestly,
yeah, you're right.
The speakers that Pimax delivers with their headsets, you can basically count that as no audio as well.
Yeah, you're right. It's also the microphone.
Everything.
Yeah, the microphone is also kind of crappy. And unlike the Pimax headsets, the headphone jack on the Varjo also supports mic. If you actually plug in a 4-pole headset into one of the headphone jacks on your Pimax, it just switches over to amplified mode. So it tries to send like 5 volts or whatever for the speaker amplifier into your microphone or something.
Oh, that's weird.
There's a lot of screen door effect. That's one of the big
Yeah.
issues with the Pimax.
With the 5K Super, like the thing is, you have to keep in mind that you get a resolution, like a vertical resolution, that is the same as on the Rift S, but stretched over a larger vertical FOV. Meaning, obviously, you're gonna get a lower pixel density. And for me personally, actually, it would be better if companies would start announcing the pixel densities rather than the native resolutions of the panels. Because the native resolution of a panel doesn't mean anything in VR.
That's right.
Like, you can kind of infer a pixel density based on the resolution and the FOV, but a company can just claim false values. And you wouldn't know better.
Yeah, because when you say 5K, you're like, oh my god, 5K is amazing. Yeah, but you have like an ultra-wide field of view, so it's the same amount. I think it's the same amount of PPI than the Valve Index with the 5K Super.
The index has a better PPD value than the 5K Super, significantly better.
Oh, I thought it was the same.
No,
Okay,
no.
yeah.
Like the index has 1600 pixels vertical, whereas the Pimax has 1440. And obviously the Pimax has like 130 degrees vertical FOV, whereas the index is more like 120 in comparison. Like, it is a difference.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that must look really bad. I can imagine. That's not nice.
I mean, I found the 5K Super. It's okay. It's okay. It could be worse. Let's just say it like that.
Exactly. It could be a PlayStation VR.
Yeah, exactly. Or an OG Vive.
This is
like, there's another thing. There's another metric that, especially on low resolution headsets, really matters, and that is pixel pitch. Like how much of the panel is actually pixels. Because both the OG Vive and the CV1, they both have the same on-paper resolution. But the OG Vive looks so much more pixelated because the gaps between the actual subpixels, or the actual pixels, are larger on the OG Vive than on the CV1.
Oh,
yeah, huge. They're huge. They are huge. Like, you can see dots on Vive. You can literally see the dots.
You have a solid blue color, but what you actually
pixel.
see are like blue dots.
Yeah, you can make out every pixel in that headset, yeah.
Yeah. Like on the CV1, it's more like a continuous display, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, so first time I tried VR, there was a Vive. I don't know, it was like 2016 or 17. I'm not sure. But it was very new. I tried it and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, especially I like the controllers and the tracking and stuff. But the pixels were like, okay, it's cool, but the resolution is just
yeah.
It makes no sense. Yeah, that's what I said. This headset makes no sense because the resolution is just too low, like to be viable.
I mean, after I had the Lenovo Explorer and switched to the Vive, I definitely noticed that like a lot. And now that I also had the chance to try the Rift CV1, obviously, I must say, on the one hand, I kind of feel sad that I didn't go for the CV1 back in the day when I still had the option to. But on the other hand, I'm also kind of happy because a 2-camera CV1 setup is really a downgrade, like much more of a downgrade than the resolution was from an actual from like an actual room scale headset.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I said, like when I tried it, I was like the tracking and everything. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean,
tracking and controls blew my mind, but the resolution was like it's like. Yeah, and it felt like it's like a development version of something.
Yeah, and I mean,
resolution-wise.
I mean, even now that I have the CV1, I still need like 4 cameras to actually cover my full play space because with only 3 cameras, I still have kind of blind spots. Because like, I know you can't see it, like, but my room is like kind of like goes from here to like over here. That's like 3.5 meters in width, which is just slightly above that, slightly larger than what Oculus Maximum recommends on the with like a 3-camera setup. 4 cameras aren't officially supported, but it still works.
Oh, that's cool. Why do you use it? It's an old headset.
Because I'm a purist, and when it comes to Oculus exclusives, I still prefer it. Especially the controllers, like, I don't know if you've tried to play Revive with the index controllers. Like, it works, but the grip button feels kind of weird. Because, like, when you just have your hand like this, it already presses down on the grip button in Revive. So you kind of have to have like your ring finger kind of off the controller, whereas on the CV1 controller, obviously that's an analog grip button, so your finger still rests on something. It's just that you don't press it down.
Yeah, I don't know why they use that capacitive sensor for it. It's weird.
Because you don't
But
really
feels like
have
it's
much.
a problem that could be fixed easily.
You don't have that much resolution on the index controller in the like grip area for the squeeze. So they use the capacitive a little bit to, yeah, they use the capacitive to just get a little bit more detail.
I also know that it's a general technique that works for more than just circuit boards. It's for all sorts of transfer applications.
Huh. It's interesting. Hmm. I know. I wonder what I'm gonna buy next. After this.
Oh, I mean, right now I'm basically.
Hopefully something good.
I mean, right now I'm basically like endgame.
Oh, well, with Varjo then.
Exactly. I mean,
that's really good headset.
I mean, for on the go, I have only the Oculus Rifts, the Oculus Quest 1. But I wouldn't be able to use the Quest 2 anyways, because there's no way in hell that I'm ever gonna create a Facebook account.
Oh no! Oh Jesus Christ! No! I don't want to. Yeah. No. I just don't want anything from this company, so I'm never gonna buy their products.
Like I bought the.
It's just
I bought the Quest 1 before.
It's yeah.
I bought the Quest 1 before the whole Facebook takeover of Oculus, so at the point when I bought it, I didn't care. Now I do care.
Well, yeah, Facebook is too much against my moral principles, like all of them.
Yep. Same here.
I mean, different companies too, but Facebook is like that.
Facebook is the worst. I mean, Google isn't that much better either, but at least Google is transparent as to what, as to how they use the user data, whereas Facebook just denies it, which is like the worst way you can respond.
Yeah.
There's no like end.
Yeah, Facebook it's a no-go, a big no-go. So whatever they come up with can be whatever. I don't want it.
Yeah, and I mean there are people who are hyped for Cambria, but I can tell you this much: the whole eye tracking and face tracking and whatever they are gonna build into Project Cambria is only gonna be available in standalone. The moment you plug it into the PC, it immediately gets turned off for performance reasons. And the whole headset is gonna be focused more for like social, for more like social VR in Infinite Office. So like if you're a hardcore gamer, it's probably the worst option between that and the Quest 2.
Yeah. Just think about it. Even if it worked, like you are giving away the gaze data and then your face expression data to Facebook. Like,
yeah.
Just that concept, it's crazy. Like, why would you want to give Facebook that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe because you like targeted advertising.
Yeah, it's like precision targeted.
Yeah.
Optimized with eye tracking. It sounds really cool.
I mean, it's already with the Quest hand tracking. Like when you enable it, I think when you enable it for the first time, there's like this pop-up that basically like says, "Oh, you're accepting like extended data privileges or something like that." I don't know if they still do that, but back in the day when I first did it, there was like this pop-up that basically like said, "Oh yeah, when you enable this, you're giving us extra data or something." I immediately turned it off, and after some update, it automatically turned back on without my consent. I was like,
yeah,
"Fuck you guys."
Of course it did. Of course it did. Of course.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no. Facebook is the no-go. So. Yeah, but I'm quite happy that Facebook is failing in every aspect of making their thing.
I mean, one of the
without legs.
But
imagine.
But the thing is, what is really bad is that Facebook is basically trying to do a whole brain drain operation on the whole XR market. I'm pretty sure the whole reason they announced that they're opening up so many like slots in Europe for in the XR space is probably because they want to get XR workers from the competition working for them, like XR workers from Varjo, from Virgineers, and from Mix. I'm pretty sure about that because I think they feel like that Varjo and Lynx are stepping into their into like Meta's ground, and so they want to get their experts down to them, so that the competition doesn't have actually experts. So it's basically like a brain drain. At least that's what I'm thinking. What they're doing.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, should be illegal. Like a single company using their market position to cause a brain drain and remove basically any competition before it can even like take place.
I mean, is in Europe there are some countries that have a pretty solid anti-monopoly laws, and I don't know. I think they are making what they are making is a monopoly. So yeah, that is illegal in many countries. I don't know how it is in the US. So
I think the US also has like laws against this. I mean because of these laws, AT&T was actually split up into numerous different countries, into numerous different companies, like way back in the day, because AT&T had like a monopoly on the phone system in the US. So they do have systems in place for that. It's just that the governments are acting way too slow.
Yeah. I mean, Facebook should have been split up a long time ago.
Absolutely. Like the whole acquisition. I mean, the whole acquisition of Oculus from Facebook back in the day probably is what helped actually VR get off the ground. But then years later, that same acquisition which helped VR get off the ground is now what's also what's limiting the VR market to actually have competition. At least in the consumer space. Like, yeah, there are companies that are doing like pretty good VR headsets for like enterprise use. But I mean, those are mostly European companies, that's the first thing, or Chinese companies. And then the second thing is, it's enterprise. So, like, price tags that no consumer could afford. Like, Varjo is probably the cheapest of those options, with their Aero now, with the like the $2,000 headset. That's the cheapest option. Then there's like Asa with the Star VR 1, which is still apparently sold.
How much is that? It's like
3,600 euros last time I checked on like Unbound VR. And then obviously there's
okay,
then obviously there's Virgin Air, whose current flagship, the Xtol 8K, is currently sold for like 4,500 euros, excluding tax. And obviously Virgin Air then also has like the Xtol 3, which we're now selling, which is like 10K.
Oh yeah, that's way out of reach. No, it's for industry, so I mean, okay, but I wonder how which one is the one that has a big field of view? There's one of them, right? There's like a really big
the
lens
Xtol.
inside.
The Xtol has like 180 degrees horizontal field of view, and with clarity of like aspheric lenses.
Yeah, well, that sounds really good. That's something I would buy.
For
40,000.
Like the thing is, the Pimax headsets, they have the they achieve a wide FOV with a relatively small compact form factor by having the displays fixed in place and only moving the lenses in front of it. But that has tons of issues. Mostly being that the lenses are never perfectly aligned with the screen, meaning you have excessive chromatic aberration. Which is one of the big problems with Pimax headsets.
So wait. So you mean the displays don't move in them? I didn't even know.
Yep, the displays don't move in Pimax headsets. On the Xtol...
Okay, I mean it makes sense because it must be big, right?
On the Xtol, the displays also move with the lenses. And the headset is like not twice as wide as a Pimax, but it's like 1.5 times the width of a Pimax headset. It's just so much bulkier.
It's massive, yeah.
Because obviously, like, you have like smartphone-sized screens in those headsets, because like there's no company that actually makes like those like widescreen displays in the size that you need for VR. So they are like 5-inch like smartphone screens in those headsets. And then if you move those, you obviously have like the light tunnel for the lenses, then you have the large lenses for the field of view. It's just so much bulk.
Yeah, I mean that it looks massive. It looks absolutely massive.
And it absolutely is. Like there's a video from
even
Frill.
Pimax is big. Yeah, but this thing, oh god. I saw that one. And
there's a video from Frill.
It's like his small head and it's this giant monstrosity.
Like you can fit 2 fucking index headsets in the Xtol 8K. And the index already is a small headset.
That's what I like about the. Oh yeah. This is what I liked about the Arpara. The thing they're making. It's so small.
It's so small, but it has a lot of like a lot of the issues that the current generations of micro OLED and pancake lenses have. Like that the color kind of shifts. Like it has kind of like a brownish tint, especially at the edges of the lenses. That apparently is like an issue mostly with the pancake lenses. Then it feels like you're wearing sunglasses. Another issue with pancake lenses, they are super inefficient. They lose a lot of light. And then micro OLED displays, OLED displays aren't that bright to begin with, so that just amplifies the dark screens. And then obviously, I mean, that's basically it. Like it's mostly just brightness and the color shift. Pancake lenses, they don't give you quite the clarity of aspheric lenses, because you still have like internal reflections with those things. But it's up there. It's up there. Like I hear people who are like, "Oh, why use aspheric lenses when you can use pancake lenses?" Well, because aspheric lenses, the way that because pancake lenses, the way that they work, they will always have internal reflections. They actually use those internal reflections
lenses are
pancake lenses use those internal reflections to virtually widen the light path.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know how it works, but I mean, aspiring lenses are just they must be really complicated to produce because of the geometry. So this.
Oh yeah,
therefore expensive.
like actually making like aspheric lenses with very fine geometry is very difficult. Like even the Varjo headsets, like they do use custom aspheric lenses, but even they still have lots of the issues that you usually have with aspheric lenses, where as you move the headset just a tiny little bit, like obviously the new distortion correction does a lot to mitigate this, but when the headset first came out, like you move it just a little bit up and down, and you just notice how the world kind of like shifts. It just warps. Just by moving the headset on your face.
Yeah, I can imagine how. Yeah. No, but I can imagine how they would look like in aspheric lenses. Okay, I'm a physicist, so I know how optics works, but VR optics, I don't know, they just a bit of a black box.
Well, for me, a lot of VR
It's
stuff is like
a
big black box.
Yeah.
I'm a software developer, so I only know like the software side of things. And even there, it's like a lot of black magic for me.
Oh yeah, but the optics is like the main thing that I'm like I find it difficult to wrap my head around. Like even like I must have read like tens of papers on just VR lenses, and I'm still not sure how the whole thing's supposed to work.
For me personally,
because they go. It's like VR optics. They basically everything they teach you in like a physics classics on optics is like thrown out of the window in VR optics.
Wow.
Basically, use of Fresnel lenses and stuff. So you would never use Fresnel lenses for imaging before VR because it just wouldn't be viable. I mean, VR is like the standard thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Fresnel lenses. I'm wondering how the heck do they even work in the first place? Like, you just have this sheet of plastic. You have a bunch of rings in it. Each of those rings has like a different like angle of like a triangle basically, and somehow that makes a lens. I don't understand how the heck that can work.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to explain, but it's actually really simple. Like you can imagine it like it's like a one sort of wedge. Like instead of many, it's like one, and the diffractions then just they make a lens basically.
Yeah.
It copies what the normal lens would do. So
but
you
it
start
just
with normal
slants
lens
it
and you,
down.
like, add one wedge and fall. Yeah.
Okay. Like I know how a regular lens works. Basically, like as the light shines through it, it gets bent in the glass because of the curvatures of the front and the back. But with Fresnel lenses, all of that kind of gets thrown out of the window because all of a sudden the material is so much flatter. Like actually, it has the same flatness on all sides. It's just these wedges somehow make the light go brrr, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So it's like when the light hits like a water surface, it bends. So the same thing is happening for Fresnel lens. It's just happening many times on those rings, and the effect is basically the same like with normal lens.
Yeah. Okay.
So on each it get bent on each wedge in a different direction. So that way it's like it makes a normal lens.
Yeah. Okay.
It depends on how far you're off center, and it just bends all the rays.
Yeah. Like what I find kind of funny is what you mentioned like before VR Fresnel lenses were never used for optics.
No. That's what they told us like in undergrad on optics class. Like Fresnel lenses are never used for imaging. It's not viable.
Yeah, because obviously you have like any sort of outside light just basically brightens up the lens.
Yeah.
Which, if you actually want to have full control of the brightness, just it's not a good idea. Obviously, in VR, you have much more control over what light actually enters the lens, so it's not that bad. You obviously still have God rays, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think God rays and sort of the weird light behaviors. That's the main reason why they were never considered for that. It's basically the only use for Fresnel lenses was when you needed to illuminate a big area of something, and you didn't care much about the image produced. Like want to illuminate a bigger area with light.
I mean,
uniformly. That you would use it.
Imagine using a multi-element aspheric lens system like you have on like most like DSLR camera lenses in VR. Imagine how big the headset would have to be.
That would be too crazy. Yeah, but VR has a different set of requirements. You need something that's light, thin.
Light, thin, and obviously
you know,
you
cheap.
have you need to have lots of control over how the light gets bent in the lens. Like usually in a camera, you just do that by using multiple lenses to bend the light in the way you need it, with having the lenses at different distances. But in VR, you can't do that, so you have to have a single lens that bends the light in the way that you need it to.
Yeah, well, or you have two, right? So somewhere it's this.
Yeah, but you can only really do that with Fresnel lenses.
But it's yeah. Yeah. I don't know, it's difficult. VR optics too hard.
Yeah.
Okay. And also the thing that I discovered is like a lot of these things are proprietary designs, and they are just not available for you to study. Like there are no papers on like actually how aspheric lenses work or how the design looks, because that's all proprietary designs.
I mean, most like lens engineers that actually have the knowledge to make VR lenses are employed at one of the big like VR companies.
Oh yeah.
Or they're working at some other lens company. Like for example, one company that recently got acquired by Meetup is what were they called again? Imagine Optics. And apparently they were designing the lenses for the Valve Deckard. But interestingly enough, one revelation that recently came to light is apparently Imagine Optics, while they had really good engineers, like they really had the knowledge to design and develop lenses, but when it actually came to manufacturing their lenses, Imagine Optics just didn't have the expertise enough in manufacturing, and so the actual manufactured lenses were much worse than the prototypes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean making, yeah. So yeah, I don't know how to make things on scale. So I always make one thing that I need a prototype of some device, right? That I use. But actually manufacturing stuff, it must be crazy. I can't imagine how. I can't even imagine the process, like how you make like a quantum processors. That's what I do. How would you like do that at scale? That's just a can of worms that no one dares to open.
For me, even just designing a quantum computer, how the heck do you do that, right? Like as a software developer, I kind of know how to make computers go brrr, like how to tell a computer to do what. But as soon as it goes any level deeper, it's just a black box for me. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I know microcode and stuff because I was taught about that in school. But again, that's all software side. How, which basically tells the computer on a lower level what to do when software tells the computer today to do X, right?
Yeah, I mean, truth being told, no one person really knows how to design a quantum computer. It's always just a team of scientists like working together, and we all know something. and just it's about working together. Because I mean, whoever tells you they know how to design quantum computer is lying. It's like there are people who are really good at stuff, right? We literally have like experts in like making like a bridges on wafers, right? Just like bridging contacts. Like there are people who just do that.
I mean, in the good old days of computers, a computer was built, and in most cases, someone needed to inspect the board and put on a botch wire because some trace wasn't fully done. I mean, nowadays manufacturing is good enough that there are very few rejects, and those rejects that actually do happen, it's just not worth it repairing those. Because oftentimes you also just don't have the space. Or a trace that is broken is like somewhere inside the board that you can't just put a botch wire in.
Yeah. It's I mean, for a normal production, for our production, 20% yield is a really good yield.
I mean, I've heard something similar as well, where like, oh, the yield of like TSMC's 7nm is like what was it, like 40%, and TSMC's 5nm is less than half of that. I was like, wait. On 7nm, you're already throwing away 60% of the wafers? Are you kidding me?
They just go to. It's not the actual wafer, but the device is on it. You can take like 10% or something. It's it's just how it is. Like, but our processes are all experimental, so it's like they change all the time.
Like it's expected that a product designed with TSMC's 5nm is going to be more than twice as expensive in manufacturing than something with TSMC's 7nm. And considering that the next generation of GPUs are going to be on TSMC's 5nm, yeah, goodbye prices. Like, people who thought that the 3090 is overpriced, well, get ready for the 4080 being priced as much as the 3090, with performance being about similar.
Yeah, I will not be surprised at all. I mean, the thing with me is that I understand how it's being made. Like, all the processes that go on in semiconductor manufacturing, like I understand them all. But I cannot understand how they make it at scale. That's this is a whole different area. It's like what we do in our clean room, you make like one wafer or like 10 wafers at max, and you are happy with that. But the scaling up from there, like this.
I mean, a similar thing actually applies to software development as well. Like, me as a dumb software developer, I only know how to program something and test it on my local environment. But once it actually goes to putting that stuff into production, like, I have no idea how the hell to set up a Docker server, or how to configure like a Docker service or anything like that. So actually
like
going to
Kubernetes
scale and going
and
to
stuff
production,
like
I'm out of that, right?
Did somebody say Kubernetes? I know the pain.
What?
We just mentioned that we don't know how to set it up.
Like, when it comes to scale, everything becomes a black box.
Exactly. Ignore all the details, and it's like helps us simplify. Like, if you think of a black box, multiple black boxes, it becomes easy, I guess. But then you never know what happens, like when problems happen.
Exactly.
Oh no, it's like I'm not like that sort of simple scaling doesn't work. It's not like you have one black box and you can just multiply by 1,000,000 and it will work. It will never work.
Yeah.
And then how to optimize stuff so it works more times. It's
Oh yeah, optimizing stuff in like computer programming sometimes can be also just black magic. Like you have this one you have like this one function call, and it works pretty smoothly in like your development environment, but you put it into production and all of a sudden it like completely bogs down the entire service. So you replace that function call with something that has more calls, like actually where the code is longer, and you put that in production, and all of a sudden it works way faster.
It's the 1 a.m. It's the 1 a.m.
Why? Nobody knows, but it just happens. Like sometimes some programming schemes sometimes just seem counterintuitive. Like escaping out of a for loop is always more expensive than using a while loop and having your own and managing your own counter. Why nobody has really ever given me an explanation that makes sense, that actually explains it in a proper way.
Oh yeah.
But it's a matter of fact, and I just can't get over it that doing a break within a for loop to escape out of a for loop prematurely somehow breaks the performance. Like you'd think that a for loop is basically just a while loop with some extra stuff on top of it, but no.
No. My programming skills are like I am not concerned with this kind of optimization. No. Our experiments run on scripts that are developed by physicists, not programmers, and they are horrible.
Oh yeah, I could
The
imagine.
programmers or the physicists?
Oh, the programs, the software we write, it's mostly horrible. It's really not optimized at all, but for most part we don't care.
I mean, have you seen VRChat? Look at how good it is, except...
I mean, really, I can tell you from experience that it is really easy to develop something and make it work, but it is really hard to make something work and also have it perform really well. Like actually optimizing stuff is super difficult, and if you don't know what if you don't know what's actually taking down performance, there's like no way in the world that you're gonna be able to optimize it.
Yeah, we are far away from optimizing quantum stuff, so that's fine.
We should consider yourself lucky.
We don't know. Yeah, I mean the entire premise of my PhD research is finding stuff to optimize.
Oh, imagine having a PhD. I just have like a bog standard apprenticeship.
Well, I don't have it yet. I'm not gonna say. Yeah, but it's like I mean, for a software developer, I don't think. I mean, you can learn a lot of stuff yourself, right? But for stuff like physics, you just.
Oh yeah, can't imagine. I can totally imagine.
It's like it's mandatory.
Like programming. Oh, you just Google.
I don't like how physics is taught in the universities. Like it feels like there's an abstraction between the theory and the practice, and nobody's explaining the link between the two. In programming, it's just easier because the theory is much closer to the practice.
Actually, it's kind of funny with high-level programming. The theory is based on the practice. Like what is usually known as pseudocode, which basically is kind of like programming theory in a way, is actually in a lot of ways based upon programming languages that already exist. So the theory is based on the practice, and it's best you learn programming actually in practice. So there are schools that still like to teach the theories first and then start with the practice. But the way that it was done in my school during the apprenticeship was basically they just went straight ahead here, this is an IDE. It's called Visual Studio, and this is how you set up a program, and this is how you do this. This is how you do that. They just started straight up with a practice.
Oh yeah. So, but the thing is, even with the high-level physics, with like really cutting-edge physics, there is no theory. Basically, the same. So when I was writing my master's thesis, I was consulting my professor, of course, and I was asking like, okay, how do I get theory for this experiment? And he's like, well, there is no theory. so you can ignore the theory.
Anything that works.
Yeah, it's just based on experimental results. Like there is no theory. I mean, there is some, but it's so basic that I mean, yeah.
I mean,
basically, experiment comes before theory.
I mean, programming is also just constant learning and based on like your practical experiences and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can learn one programming language, but at some point you have to start working with other programming languages as well. And some of your knowledge you can apply to other languages, but some you don't. Like, for example, with like the data type assignments, what you have in like, let's say, Java or C# doesn't apply to JavaScript. In JavaScript there are no data. There are data types, yes, but they are dynamically inferred. So, oh, you have like a little bit of text here, you have a couple of numbers here, and you're trying to add these two together. So I'm guessing you want both to be added as strings. So there you go, you now have text with a number in it. But then when you try to subtract it, it's like, oh, you want to subtract something, you can't subtract text from text, so I'm just gonna convert that to numbers for you. So it can be both really nice, like really, it can really help you in a lot of ways, because number inputs, for example, in websites are usually working as strings or as text, not as numbers. But it can also really kick you in the butt, where you have like user input and you want to actually add these two as numbers, but then one of them is a text, and all of a sudden you have the two numbers not added together like numerically, but just added behind each other.
Yeah. I mean, JavaScript is a bit of a trash fire because of that.
Exactly. But I mean, honestly,
it's used everywhere.
Yeah, I personally consider myself like a Node.js, like mostly Node.js and like front-end developer. So I know like the kind of quirks of JavaScript and whatnot.
Oh yeah, the facial.
I know MATLAB.
You know, I
know
MATLAB. You just pulled it out.
You have one person that
Oh, I need to show you avatar because your eyes are just kind of. Oh, okay, now I get it.
No, it always is.
Ah, well, I mean.
But I'm gonna use this avatar.
Well, I mean.
Oh my god.
That's just so funny.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. Alright, review. Wait, so what headsets are you guys using? Are you guys using a Pimax? Are you using Vive Pro I? Or are you using the Aero Varjo?
The Varjo Aero.
Oh yeah. Aero
yeah, the Varjo.
Yep, I'm using the Varjo.
So you guys are using the Varjo.
Well, I'm using the Varjo.
I'm using the Pro 2, Vive Pro 2 without the eye tracking, because yeah, it doesn't have it. But I have tongue at least.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can recommend against mine.
What is that?
No, the Pro I, the Vive Pro I.
You're not fan of that?
The screen is a little like because of it's an OLED. I can see the grid of pixels, and the field of vision is very narrow.
Personally, I actually found the Vive,
biggest,
the Vive Pro 1 to just look a little bit better than the Index. Mostly because of the OLED, but also it kind of felt sharper for some reason. And I still can't explain why. It's probably because of a small FOV and the same
I will
resolution.
explain exactly why. Because of the wait. Okay, so for the OLED, I'm gonna get over here. Okay, because I did a ton of reviews on these headsets, and I was like, in reality, like it isn't. No matter how much review you do, like when you get into the headset, it's like, you know, until you actually experience yourself, that's when you can actually play the review. But for the OLED display, they're using a thing called pentile, and what that is where they kind of don't put the pixels in straight lines. They kind of take the second row and shift it over a little bit, and it kind of makes the pixels a little closer looking, like it fools the field of view. And then for the valve index, the pixels are in a line, like they're perfectly lined. That's why when people like do zoom-ins and stuff.
Well, I mean that explanation of pentile is kind of. I mean, I don't want to say it's completely wrong, but it's a little bit messed up because with pentile,
it's odd.
With pentile, one pixel is not defined by by 3 subpixels. It's actually defined by a different subset of subpixels. So.
See, I was told that the way, because I was only given graphs, and I was like, so is it a different arrangement? Like, because
no,
so for is in the valve.
So the pen in pentile actually comes from penta, the Latin word for 5, and and it's called like that because two pixels next to each other actually don't have like 6 subpixels as they should have. Instead, they have 5.
Yes.
So, for example, so your first pixel has red and blue. So your first pixel has red, green, and blue. But then the blue subpixel of the first pixel is shared with the next pixel. And then the same applies also to the red subpixels. So you have so 3 pixels next to each other would be red, green, blue, green, red, green.
Your custom model, or did somebody else make
and
this?
then blue again.
I made this.
Okay.
So that's how pentile basically works. But there are also other pentile arrangements. But there are also other pentile arrangements like diamond pentile, where actually the other colors are kind of like in like a diamond pattern around it. Which that is even worse. That's even worse to explain, honestly.
So, on the Aero, since you are one of the only people that I've ran into so far that actually has that headset, I heard that screen door effect is gone.
Yep.
In that headset.
That makes sense.
What kind of GPU are you running? You got to be running like a top end, run something like that.
An RTX 3090, yes. And I'm not even running the headset at native resolution right now because I know very well that more demanding VRChat worlds can still get this headset to, or this PC to lag with this headset. Like 35 PPD, that's like 4,000 pixels per eye in like width. That's like more than 4K.
No, I'm making it myself.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay.
Redoing the blood shapes on the hands, the feet, the legs, the ass cheeks.
The headset I'm running at is I am using a RTX 2080 Super, and I'm using a Oculus Quest 2, but I'm using with the full body tracking, the cable, everything, you know, all that. And then I have it cranked all the way. Even I even went into the settings and turned the bitrate up for the cable because the bitrate is horrible when you plug in the cable. They don't tell you that. And like it looks pretty clear. Like the screen door is just bare. Like I have to really focus and like really look at something close, and it has to be bright colored for me to see the screen door.
Well, I mean, have you cranked your resolution in SteamVR, or have you cranked it via the Oculus menu?
Not in the menu, in the Oculus settings itself, the developer menu, because that's how you can actually get it.
The thing is, what I know so far is on the Oculus Quest 2, it has this, like at 1x, it has the same render resolution as the Oculus Quest 1, which is already around what you get on the Rift CV1, so it's like super blurry. And with the resolution slider that you have in the Oculus software itself, apparently you can turn it up, but when you set it to 5x, which is native resolution of the Quest 2, it's apparently super laggy, and the quality really degrades because even at 500 Mbit per second, which is like the maximum that can be allowed, apparently still doesn't have enough bandwidth for the native resolution of the Quest 2, from what I understand.
Yes.
So it looks like potato quality basically.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Yep. And so you kind of have to like label it out. Like you have to just kind of you have to balance it out.
Yeah.
Really well made.
But it's still not native resolution, which for me is a basically like a no-go. Like as someone who wears glasses, whenever the image starts to get blurry, I feel like I'm not wearing my glasses properly. So every headset that doesn't allow me to get at least close to the native resolution is completely dead to me. And that's the reason why I'm also selling my Vive Pro 2, because the render resolution on that thing, even at 150% render resolution, looks about as blurry as the Reverb G2 at 60%. Considering that the Vive Pro 2 is more pixel dense than the Reverb G2, it just looks absolutely like an absolute blurry mess.
Why don't they fix this? I don't get it.
I already asked them. I actually had like a month-long discussion with their support team via ticket, and it went so far that they first sent me a replacement cable for Vive Pro 1. For some reason, like they sent me the wrong replacement cable at first. Then they sent me a Vive Pro 2 replacement cable after a long delay. And after that didn't fix the issue, they were like, okay, we're gonna forward this to our technical team. And like 1.5 months later, I get a reply on that ticket saying, oh yeah, your headset is running as intended. And I'm like, fuck you guys, I'm selling my headset. And they never requested the cables back either, so it was like free revenue for me.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I've made.
Oh my god. But I don't get it. So you need to explain a bit better. But the render resolution isn't it even higher than what the headset is using?
It always has to be higher because of the lens correction with like the lens pre-distortion and whatnot. What's going on there? And it stretches out the center of the image. So in order to still have native resolution in the center of the image, they need to render at a higher resolution.
How I felt. Like this feels more me than a human body.
So where is the problem? What needs to be fixed?
It's a good model though.
I think either HTC's like lens pre-distortion for some reason stretches out the image in the center more than like way further, making the actual rendered image much more blurrier. Or what actually happens is, like, they have this dynamic resolution thing that even when you turn off in the Vive console, like when you turn off like pick the best resolution for my PC, they still, every time you fire up the headset, try to figure out what are your system resources and adjust the render resolution accordingly. What I notice is at 90 Hz, it always picks the same render resolution, which is like around 3000 pixels per eye in width, which is lower than what I get on my Reverb G2 at 100% render resolution. There it's like 3100 pixels or something. So they would basically, what they need to do is they need to fix up their software to not do that dynamic resolution thing and instead just render the image at native resolution all the time when you actually select that in the Vive console. Like at 120 Hz, it was even worse. It was like at 2600 pixels, which is like the render resolution of the index.
Yeah, like this whole outfit. I had to shrink down. I think my arms are shrinking down.
So I have a choice of buying either a Vive Pro I or an Index. Which one should I go lean against?
Vive Pro I.
The Index.
Yeah, it's very uncanny.
Vive Pro I.
Personally, I actually find the image of a Vive Pro. I have a Vive Pro 1 and an Index, and I personally prefer the image that the Vive Pro 1 produces. Like it looks sharper. The Vive Pro 1 is clearer, actually. Like for me personally, the Vive Pro looks clearer, and the lower FOV, it's not that much. Like unless you actually do like an A/B like side-by-side comparison, you probably won't notice.
The FOV is very strong in my case. It's like I can only see up to here, which is whereas with the Index I have up to here.
Okay. And do you have like the lenses cranked on both headsets? Like as close as you can?
Yeah.
This is actually
yeah.
Did you get the thinner face gasket?
No, I didn't.
There it is, because the thinner face gasket actually gives you the FOV that Vive has actually shown in their thing.
Ah,
And, like,
okay.
that's what people talk about.
VRChat would be
Yeah,
like.
because the thinner face gasket just moves your eyes just a little bit closer to the lens. They said if you get the thinner face gasket.
So, but wait, so if I have a set in Vive console fixed resolution, does it still not?
It still not fixes the resolution. It still picks render resolution every time you fire up the headset.
VRChat's awesome. It's great.
It's dumb.
Yeah, it's super dumb.
Even if you explicitly said, because I also always have it on the 120 Hz whatever highest resolution setting. It's always there.
Little pro
So never
tip:
change
if you select just one resolution down, like the same native resolution, but at 90 Hz, you get a much higher render resolution, and the image looks significantly sharper.
I mean, one can assume, right?
Yep. So, Oculus has an update, and I do not engage this update because it's horrible, and that's their 120 Hz refresh rate. The bandwidth of this cable cannot handle that, so the image, even though if it's saying it's rendering, it's super fuzzy.
Yeah,
smooth, but
I
it's
can
fuzzy.
imagine.
Listen, it was at one point that
Like personally, if I want to go high refresh rate, I still pick the index, but that high refresh rate only really makes sense in Beat Saber for me, or in other like really fast-paced games.
Yep.
In VRChat, you're not gonna notice the difference between 120, 140, and 144 and 90 Hz.
Well, yeah, because right now, even if I'm running a 2080 and I'm a 2080 Super, and I'm only hitting what's my frames right now? I'm getting 45 FPS.
Consider yourself lucky.
The refresh rate.
Yeah.
I have 20.
Okay, so I will tell you.
It's actually.
I have 20 and I have a 2080 Ti. So yeah.
Yeah.
I have a 38.
VRChat adds ray tracing to the game.
Imagine VRChat with ray tracing.
Oh yes, imagine VRChat with Satan.
Oh, that would actually be great. But then again, VRChat is a mostly CPU bound game, so don't know how much it would help because DLS. Yeah, it is mostly CPU bound because it only calculates fizz bones on like 1 or 2 CPU cores.
Oh yeah, that.
So easy pro tip: if you want to have more performance, just turn off physics bones, dynamic bones, and there you go.
I will never turn it down. Turn it off.
Yeah, me neither. I would never turn on the dynamic bone limiter.
Okay, so one of the things that also is beneficial is oh shit, I got a stick drift on this one side, so if I lurch towards you, that's because this damn stick is like. Yeah. Okay, so on the index controller,
Varjo Aero.
it's just the headset. There's no controllers or the yeah.
Yeah, it's just the headset, nothing else.
Yeah, I do have a nice pair of headphones I could, put on that headset. It's just that I was like $2,000 is pretty steep.
Yeah, for that price, that price is super steep. I know.
Look at me. Look at me.
I know, but I mean, it's got all the stuff like the mini LED display, just like.
They sadly still don't
you
use the
kinda
mini
have
LED
to
display
sacrifice a
for
little
local
bit of
dimming,
FOV,
but
it's not as bad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when is that coming out? Local dimming?
I have no idea. Varjo tends to be a very secretive company as to what they're currently working on.
This model.
Kind of like Valve. It's just they're listening to like feedback and whatnot, quietly working on it in the background, and whenever they have something ready, they're just like, there you go, you asked for it, there it is.
Oh, is Varjo Finnish?
They are a Finnish company, yes.
Or is it Swedish? Finnish, yeah. So we have a Finnish fridge as well. Same secretive stuff.
Yeah.
You can get 6.9.
They don't share data about
Wasn't the
our
headset
equipment with us.
previous to the one that you're having? You have to put like $1,500 subscription or something.
The Varjo VR3 was had like an $800 subscription, and the XR3 had a $1,500 subscription per year, or was it per month? I don't know. I don't remember. I think it was a per year subscription. But the thing is, on the Varjo Aero, that subscription model is still somewhat in there. Like, you don't pay for it anymore, but the headset still needs to connect to an online server every time you fire up Varjo Base. Or not every time, but at least once every 48 hours, it still has to connect to a server. To basically just get like a blank license or whatever. Varjo does offer the same unlock that they also offer on the VR3 and XR3. It's cheaper than on those headsets, but it's still $600. Just so that you can use your headset without any internet connection. It is fucking stupid, and I didn't pay for it. Because why would I?
What the hell is that? Seriously, man, I didn't even know that. That's super dumb.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either until one guy on YouTube said it basically like on release day.
Are you still happy with the purchase? Like, would you consider that headset as best one for eye tracking right now?
Like, I wouldn't say that what you get is really worth the $2,000. But I can see why they priced it at $2,000 because it's like beyond the point of where things get ridiculously expensive versus what you actually get in return.
Yeah. You don't even get you don't get headphones or a microphone with this headset.
You do get a pair of earbuds with an inline microphone.
I know that, but I mean it's a pair of earbuds.
Exactly.
Are they good?
I mean, it's better than nothing. Come on.
It's better than nothing, and you do get nothing on the VR3 RX-F3.
They just ship it with like some like Panasonic dollar store.
Fun fact: the headphones that they included in the first batch, they are like UIC branded, like no-name Chinese headphones, and I looked them up. You can get them directly from UIC, and do you want to guess how much UIC asks for the headphones that were included in the first batch of the Aero?
Under $10.
Not quite. $30.
No, that isn't bad. I mean, that's somewhat decent. Like, it depends on the build quality. It could be worse.
The audio quality is actually not that bad. Like, for that price, I would have expected them to be super boomy, but they're actually not. Like, my old OnePlus headphones sound significantly worse, and they cost the same price.
Alright, so the only thing that I was looking at, because I was looking at reviews after reviews after reviews, and people always told me, like, stay away from Pimax. I know they have promising things in that, but then, like, when it comes down to certain things, it just doesn't. And so, one of the things that I was looking at review-wise is I was like, I would have gotten a Vive Pro 2, but it's the heat problem that I have. Like, everybody says that it gets hot.
For me, the biggest problem with the Vive Pro 2 really is not the heat. Like, I can totally manage that. For me, the problem is the render resolution and the software. Like,
I put a giant fan on top of this headset. I put it here.
Oh, trust me, the heat issue. Trust me, the heat issues on the Vive Pro 2, they're nothing compared to the heat issues on the Vive wireless adapter. Like, that thing without a fan, basically unusable. That thing overheats during normal usage.
I have a fan now, I'm fine.
I mean,
just put a fan on Vive Pro 2 and it's fine.
I mean, the heat issue on
glue the fan.
I mean, the heat output on the Vive Pro 2, there was only one situation where it actually bothered me, and that is with the Type-C jack. I have a Type-C to headphone jack adapter in both my Vive Pro 2 and my Vive Pro 1. And it works just fine with the Type-C of the adapter plugged in directly next to the main cable, so where the Type-C jack is. Works just fine on my Vive Pro 1. On my Vive Pro 2, after half an hour, the adapter overheats so much that that the clock crystal in it starts actually not outputting proper clocks anymore, and so audio starts getting higher pitched, and I get audio crackling.
Oh, that's weird. That's very weird.
Yeah, because the clock crystal starts oscillating at a higher frequency than intended. And so audio just completely...
If I had a choice between a Valve Index and a Vive Pro, you'd say a Vive Pro because it just looks clearer than a Valve Index? Because I got to try a Valve Index, it looked pretty good, it's just that this headset I'm wearing currently is clearer than that, but the FOV is 90 degrees, which is very... I feel like I'm looking through...
the Vive Pro 1
all the time.
The Vive Pro 1 still has a significantly larger FOV than the Quest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't use
Like the Vive Pro 1 and the Vive Pro 1i is the same exact model, they just added the eye tracking feature.
Exactly, the Pro I is basically the same as the original Pro 1, except that it has eye tracking.
Yeah, they even discontinued the one, they only sell the Pro I now.
The reason I went with Pro 1 back in the day is because... Sorry, I interrupted you.
Sorry, no. I was saying, like, if you're talking about the kits, like the Valve Index kits I feel like they are providing more value because they have the controllers and the base station and everything. Like the Vive controllers are not as good as the Index ones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if you're looking for a kit, the Index is probably the better value. But if you're just looking for the headset, Vive Pro I, definitely.
I was gonna get the headset with the Valve Index controllers because I just wanted the finger tracking because I'm only gonna be using it for VRChat. So
just keep in mind that any lighthouse tracked headset just won't work properly without lighthouses. Like you'll only get a gray screen.
No. I have lighthouses. That's why I have full body. I have.
Oh yeah, I did. You were just there, and I didn't notice it. Sometimes you just have these brain
using
fogs.
a hybrid like software that merges the play space of
OpenVR Space Cal
with the Oculus.
Oh no.
So like it's got,
no.
Yeah. It's a hybrid.
Like that space calibration stuff. Like what I noticed is, like with Windows Mixed Reality, you have to do that with every session, just like how you do it, just like how you have to do it with Oculus as well. But what I noticed is during a session on Windows Mixed Reality, it tended to drift less if you actually set it up properly. Whereas on Oculus, it just, after like half an hour or something like that, you just have to recalibrate everything because it just drifted too much.
Yeah. I know, because I have to
is fully integrated in SteamVR, right?
Yeah, it has lighthouse tracking.
Unfortunately, I don't have these tracking.
Like you have your own, like they have their own separate software like Varjo Base, but it is working natively with SteamVR and uses lighthouse tracking.
So I will buy a Vive Pro I because I do like the OLED, and I was like, and I'll just turn down the brightness because I always have my headset set to its lowest brightness anyways because of the screen glare, the lens glare.
I don't know if you can.
Why would you do that? Oh my god.
Do the gear mod, I think, the lens gear mod.
Well, you can't do that on the Pro I, but you have to like basically disassemble the entire headset, from what I've heard.
Yeah. I heard it's probably much better quality though.
Oh yeah, like it's basically like aspheric lenses. But the problem obviously that what you have with the Gear VR lens mod is they are just off the shelf, like from what I've heard, they're just off the shelf like magnifying glass lenses. So the software has to work around that, which is never going to be as good as lenses that already have a good distortion from the get-go, like what you have on the Varjo.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm gonna kill your son.
Alright, well I gotta go here. I will send you a thing.
Bye-bye.
I must go. Somebody's calling me.
I was actually going to get the Varjo Aero as well, but it has a wait time of 2 months.
Yeah, depends on where you are actually. In the US, I pretty much believe that they still have like a wait time of up to 4 months. Because they've been way behind on US deliveries.
So it's better to order it in Europe.
If you live in Europe, yeah. Like,
Yes, Europe.
exactly. Like, I pre-ordered mine on like day 1, and I got mine on the first day of shipments. Like pretty much every other EU delivery. Whereas with the US, they've only really so far delivered units that have been pre-ordered on day 1, and not much else. Whereas in Europe they're already down to like the November pre-orders, from what I've heard.
November? Wow. I mean, November is still...
It's still a far way, but like Varjo probably did not expect with the amount of orders that they got on the Aero.
I mean, that's a nice problem to have, honestly.
Exactly. Like, I mean, the same problems has Valve to this day, actually.
But that's not related to the chip shortage, no?
Yeah, but with Valve, like, they were expecting so low demand on the index that their marketing department at first was actually planning to not even announce the thing. Just put it on the Steam store one day and just let people order it. That was their original plan, actually.
I didn't know that.
And their new marketing manager at the time was like, no guys, people actually want this. Let's announce this thing a month before we start pre-orders. And it couldn't have gone any better for Valve. Like, they announced the thing and immediately everyone was like, oh my god, this sounds amazing. And then the pre-order started and Valve got, I think it was like 10 times, like estimated 10 times the amount of pre-orders that Valve was initially anticipating, from what I've heard.
I ordered the index from Europe and it was actually pretty fast.
Yeah.
It was like 1 week before delivery.
Yeah, I was like on the waiting list and I think I got mine like in the second batch or something. Like, I just missed the pre-order batch, but like the pre-order slash day 1 deliveries.
Yeah. And yeah, no, like it would be nice to get the. Like I'm really interested. Like I would prefer Varjo to the eye. Like, I will try the changing like the putting my eyes closer to the lenses to reduce the FOV. But I would love to get the Varjo. There's also the Pico Eye, which is, I heard it's putting up very good results. The Pico Eye too.
Oh, the Pico Eye, the Pico Neo Eye. Yeah, I
like your texture too.
Yeah.
I think the Pico Neo, like, right now is only sold in China to consumers. Like, everywhere else it's sold only to businesses.
Not how anyone expected.
Yeah. And it's not integrated in
I thought Ukraine would be in.
eye tracking mode. So.
And also with Pico, you have to keep in mind, like, if you boycott Facebook, then you also have to boycott Pico, because Pico is now owned by ByteDance, and ByteDance is even worse when it comes to like privacy and whatnot. It not because they're communists. ByteDance massively uses user data to figure out what kind of person their users are, and then either discriminate or promote them based on their personality and whatnot. They're way worse than Facebook. Way worse.
Oh my god.
That's why, like, if you don't want to get a Quest because of Facebook, then you shouldn't want to get a Pico because of bytes.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Mm-mm.
At least the Quest is going to make a new version with eye tracking, I hear. Like, which is like between the Quest and the indexing terms of pricing.
Which company?
He's talking about Cambria. He's talking about Cambria.
Project Cambria, yeah. But like from what I've heard so far, Project Cambria is likely gonna be focused on Infinite Office and like Horizon. I can bet. I would bet my money on that the eye tracking and face tracking is restricted to only work in standalone mode only. And the moment you start putting the headset into PCVR mode, it would turn off. I would bet money on that because Metabook wants people to use software on their own platform because that's where they make money. And also that's where they can actually track the users. As soon as people use like Steam VR, well, they can't track the users as easily anymore.
So they're only reporting news that he deems.
Yeah. You still know what shit you have at home, so it's enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want Facebook cameras in my house. It's no quests here. No quests allowed in my house. No
Well,
quests.
I have a Quest 1, but I purchased it before like the whole Facebook takeover. And I mostly use that for like on the go. But I've been also recently dabbling with using my Vive G2 when I'm like visiting friends because I now actually have like a gaming laptop and don't have to like carry my PC around all the time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know about Quest 1, but I know some disturbing inside information about what Quest 2 does. And yeah, that not good.
The thing is, whenever you use face tracking, you're approving of Facebook actually sending like sample images from your cameras to Facebook servers, like raw images from the cameras, to improve the hand tracking. But obviously that data is also getting used for other stuff as well.
Even if you are not using hand tracking, so the headset is actually it's running image recognition like a neural net on the headset locally, and it's scanning your environment for stuff and is identifying objects that you have in the room and stuff. So it can tell what kind of stuff you have. It can tell if you have a big TV. It can tell if you have a computer, if you have a different headset, it can identify things, and then just sends that trace data into Facebook. So I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want Facebook knowing what kind of stuff I have or what kind of how many people are here if I have pets. I don't want them to know this stuff about me.
Yeah, absolutely understandable.
No, I agreed.
Anyways, I gotta go. I don't have to work tomorrow, but I wanna like be awake through the night.
Is it okay if I add you guys? Can I use my friends list?
Same pattern or?
It'll look
Sure.
similar, but it's gonna be a lot more detailed.
Friend request, there you go.
Send a friend
Oh,
request.
my trackers died.
I sent you a friend request.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. That's most people when making models.
Yeah, I will go too. My trackers died, and unfortunately, I do have to work tomorrow.
Oh. Yeah, I'm kind of lucky. Like weekend. Well, not lucky, but happy.
I was too, but you know, funny enough, I need to grade some optics assignments from students.
Yeah.
University work.
Yeah, I wouldn't really necessarily have to leave right now, but I just don't want to
I like it.
Like,
Yeah.
stay up through the night.
I will go to.
I will go to, yeah. It's time for dinner.
I have a sleep cycle to attend to. But yeah, it was a lot of fun with you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
For the chat, yeah.
Yeah, no thanks you for the chat.
Oh, of course. Oh yeah, thanks for my new comfy avatar. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will be using this one.
I'm not sure how they should either.
Like I've seen people use my public avatars before, but only on pictures. Like, I've never really had anyone who came up to me who was like, I really love your avatar, can I clone it? I never really had that.
So the thing is that it looks amazing, but also the toggles for face tracking, I can just use it and it works.
I wasn't even sure if that was possible, but that was like one thing that I wanted to do really with the toggles, because when I first started, when I uploaded my avatar at first, I didn't have eye tracking. Like, the eye tracking I already had in the headset, but the Varjo eye tracking module for VRCFT wasn't out at the time. So I really had to have like a toggle to turn off the eye tracking.
Yeah. Anyway, it's amazing. It's the best. It's the best. It's literally the best.
I mean, I ran into like a public model from like, I think it was like Shiny Bismuth years back, and that was like the first avatar that I really attached to. And this avatar and the avatar design on this one is very much inspired by that. I just keep coming back to this design and can't ditch it.
Oh, it's really good. The other one I was using was a similar base, but
they're both.
It just worked. Yeah, it just worked all the time, and my eyes were always closed. So we actually did the modification to mod, so it would always send eye open parameter to the avatar.
Ah, I think I know what avatar you're talking about. It's not the one you joined this world with.
Yeah, it's the. It's the.
The Fox G.
Where do I have it?
The Fox G. You mean this one?
Yeah.
This one.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Yep. This is how it's supposed to look actually with the eyes. But this one actually really amplifies the.
Does it have face tracking?
Yeah, it has face tracking, it has eye tracking, it does everything.
Yoink!
That's my old avatar.
Thank you.
Like this one really amplifies the downside of the problems with the Varjo eye tracking. Like, Varjo doesn't actually output the data for the eyelids, so I have to infer the eyelid position based on whether the eye tracking status is valid or not. So whenever the eye tracking status is invalid, I close the module closes the eyes, and it's obviously like a digital toggle. So on this avatar, it's like clink, 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 clink. There's like no smoothing on it at all.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So on my so on my avatar, the eyelids are smoothed. It's not a whole lot of smoothing, but it's enough to not make it look really bad on with the
It looks really good. It looks good.
Yeah. I mean, it's better to have it than not have it at all. Like, when you have an avatar that constantly stares into your soul, it's a little bit weird.
Oh, the lasers.
Yeah.
Lasers.
Actually wanted to put lasers on my laser eyes on my avatar, but I don't know how to.
Yeah, you got to ask Groxy, but he doesn't talk to anyone.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, Groxy isn't the only one who has laser eyes on his avatar. I think Jerry also has one.
Sorry, did you say?
Somebody talk about it.
Whoa! Holy cow! Okay, those laser eyes blind you when you when they're directly on your eyes. Oh, they do as well. Wow. Well, I mean, you could use this local toggle to disable that for yourself.
But that wouldn't be the same. I got laser eyes, I want a field laser.
So when did you guys pick up?
Okay.
Yeah, immersion, first of all.
That makes sense.
And it's just cool to see where your lasers are pointing.
Oh,
within inches.
By the way, cut up. Are you using the open beta with the with like the new IK?
I don't think it's correct, Nita.
No. I have them out there.
Okay, then that's interesting because you're like kind of like standing this for me.
Yeah, you're standing a bit weird, that's true.
That's why I thought you may be using the new IK, because on the new IK there's a problem with like the hit bone on the Rentichi, and I don't think Roxy updated his avatar.
First, and then I got the eyes because like once you have half of it, it's like you really want the other. Yeah. There's something I could do face tracking with
If you're talking, we don't hear you right now. You're just kind of mute, with like an open mouth, like.
Oh yeah.
I might have like the sitting on your head. That one's like a bird. I am a bird. Not really.
Hello?
I'm totally a bird.
This is okay. Yeah, I don't see it as much.
Don't throw me out there.
Yeah, this is a lot better. And it sounds like your microphone kind of died.
He knows what he's
Yeah.
Well, where?
A bit.
Oh no! Damn, no one wants to swoop in.
It's so
great.
I got Simon in here. I want Simon.
You should be grateful. Government drones are birds are government drones, and they're using a spy on you. So by me eating them, I'm keeping the government from finding out about your darkest fetishes.
Audio? No.
Oh no.
No, we don't.
Audio?
Oh,
that is Germans.
I know a similar thing with my Vive Pro 1. Whenever that one disconnects, I have a similar issue where I don't hear anything, and the mic also doesn't pick up anything.
Yeah, he was well. He's like,
That's weird.
Anyways, I wanted to leave like 10 minutes ago, so I'm not gonna leave. Good night, guys. Bye bye.
Good night. Thank you. Good talk.
No problem. Good talk.
and then apparently, like, it looked good.
Alrighty, and I'm also gonna end the stream. That doesn't make any sense if I'm gonna see Varjo base in a moment anyways. I was looking for my room border. That obviously doesn't show up here. Alright then, hope you've all enjoyed today's live stream, and so leave a follow. If not, well, don't. And I will see you guys in the next live stream. Bye bye, and good night.